Welcome to Real Coaching Radio, the podcast for coaches by coaches. We are here to teach you how to get the most out of your clients and yourself. This is where beauty meets the beast, brains meet brawn, and science meets, well, bro science. Welcome to Real Coaching Radio. Hi guys, welcome to today's episode of the podcast. Today, me and my co-host Mark, we talk about how to train when you're short on time. We give you some tools and techniques to try and fit your session in, whether you've only got 20 minutes 3 times a week or whether you can only train once a week. We try to give you a good understanding of what you should do and what you should prioritize. But without any further ado, let's begin the episode. Technical difficulties. This has actually been probably the smoothest.
I know.
We've not actually had technical difficulties.
Still time yet.
It's always when the laptop turns around and says like the laptop is doing too much work and it's just stop.
Yeah.
What? You don't get to make that decision.
Yeah, right.
I tell you,
You're
when
a
to
machine.
stop.
I told you not to do that.
Right, so person like today's avatar of kind of wondering the best way for them to train is someone who is short on time.
Okay. How short on time?
Ooh. Okay, so I suppose it varies. I suppose like because I find someone who is genuinely short on time,
Yep.
like it's one of those. I don't know how to explain it, because if someone's really short on time, first things first, are you actually short on time,
Yeah.
or is it just not a priority?
Yeah.
And that's like, and we'll get on to kind of picking a time in a minute, but do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I think that's very fair.
and that's the bit of the, I suppose that's the kind of thing of, if you can, and you say, I can only commit to one 45-minute session per week, which some people only can, and that could potentially be because they actually don't have the time and they can only fit that much in, then, which is fine, but then some people just don't want to commit to the process of training and don't think it's for them and haven't bought into it yet. So like, I think either way, if you don't have time or you do, it's like, if you do have the time and you're choosing not to because you haven't bought into the idea, like as a coach, if you are a personal trainer and you've got someone like this, like that's completely fine. Kind of let them do that and try and make that 45 minutes so enjoyable that they get something out of it. But I think that's the bit where we go, well, 45 minutes, you're not going to be able to achieve anything.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, yeah, but they could actually achieve a lot, because what they're saying, their goal to lose body fat or to gain muscle or to get really fit or to run whatever, like, yeah, they may not be able to do that much physical change within those 45 minutes, but I'd argue that there's a lot they could change within that 45 minutes.
Yeah, you can still have a real positive impact on someone's life within that time.
Yeah. So let's say they can, I mean, you're a good example of this. Like,
Well, I am and I'm not, because I am short on time, but training is probably also higher on my priority list than it is for a lot of other people.
well, let's create an avatar. So let's say it's a mum. She's got kids.
Yeah.
So she's got a couple of kids. So she's got to do school runs and drop kids off. She works a normal 9-to-5 job within that as well.
Yeah.
And then gets home. She does all the cooking, all the cleaning.
Yeah.
Like, so throughout a week, she sits down to watch TV an hour a night,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Within that, like, and sits down at like 9 o'clock
Yeah.
or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
you're not going to turn around to that mum and say, you need to train.
Yeah,
that
go
that
train.
hour should be done training. Like, they've been like moving around loads and doing stuff. So say she maybe, her parents look after the kids once a week, and on a
Yeah.
weekend she may get an hour. So say twice a week.
Okay.
Someone who can make it to the gym,
Yeah,
somewhere
I
between
think
45
that's-
minutes to an hour.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of people within that. Like,
There is a lot of people in that, and I also think whether when we say short on time, whether you can only train once or whether you can maybe train 3 times, but they're 3 really tight times. I think all of what we're going to say will relate to anybody that fits inside that bracket, I think.
yeah. And I mean, someone who is short on time, I suppose, does it change for you? You're focusing on I guess the biggest impact we could have within those 45 minutes. So say
Is it if they're short on time though? Is it going to be 45 minutes?
we left.
Could be.
Good point.
What if they can only train do 3 20-minute sessions?
Okay. Yeah, you're right. It is going to apply to all of them.
We're
All the
saying
different
short on
ones.
time, but
You're
we're
very true.
assuming they can do an hour session,
Yeah.
which is not the case.
Okay, cool. That's a good point. Everything we are going to say is going to kind of actually help anyone, whether you are, however much time you have, because
Yeah.
I think it all comes down to the same stuff.
Yeah, I think even if you're training 5-6 times a week, all of this will probably still apply at some point.
Yeah, right. What's the focus? What should the focus be for the session? And I know it'll change depending on people's goals, but what is the key thing that we're looking for someone to do within that session?
I think the key thing is you've just got to maximize the time. I think that's got to be the key. Regardless of whether the actual goal is to try and lose some weight, build some muscle, get fitter, get stronger, just clear your head, whatever the goal might be, I think it's important that we just maximize the time. So bang for buck exercises, no real fluffy stuff going in there just because, you're then wasting time. So I think the main aim is just productive, effective sessions, which should probably always be the aim. But if you've got a bit more time, you can chuck in some fluffy stuff which people quite like and is fun and easy to do. But with these people, you probably don't have that.
Yeah. So most people you are trying to. I'm always trying to find how can I fit this into their session.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot more important things than there are. Do you know what I mean? There's a lot of important things that you want to try and fit into someone's session.
Yeah.
I suppose if someone is short on time, is there does it just come down to preference when you say, right, you're either going to concentrate on building some strength or you're going to concentrate this, say that it is 20 minutes or whatever, you're going to concentrate this on doing some cardio work? How do you split that? Is it just basically on preference for themselves?
Well, so if you were to ask me that as okay, so how I would approach that is yes, I think ultimately the overarching decision is going to be made based on what their goal is. But if they're coming to me, let's use the example of they're coming and saying, look, I just don't really have a goal. I've got a lot going on. I'm really busy. I know exercise is important for me. And so I want to and need to be doing some exercise. What should we do? If we were to take that approach, I would say that all of the sessions that I would try and do would have a mixture of some form of strength and some form of cardiovascular elements, because if we can increase and an increase in work capacity, because if we can increase that stuff, that's going to have a positive impact on their ability to handle all of the other stresses that they go on in life. If someone's really busy and they can only do 3 20-minute sessions a week, I wouldn't be teaching them how to snatch.
Yeah.
Because there is way more stuff we can be doing within that 20 minutes. I can give you a 20-minute EMOM that's got, so every minute on the minute for 20 minutes, where there's some form of strength work in there, there's some form of cardiovascular work in there, there's maybe some core exercises in there, and then some of the other sessions is maybe another 20 minutes with a little bit more stability focused from the strength side of things. So, ensuring that they're still moving well, postural positions are good. And then again, some cardiovascular fitness. I would prioritize strength and fitness.
Yeah, I agree. Especially like for someone who's, and this is why I think you've got to be so open if you are a coach to not be stuck in a rut with your way of training. Because like for me, if someone came to me when I first started and was like, I can only train 3 20-minute sessions a week, like I'm trying to fit in all of these different like bodybuilding style exercises into a program. Whereas now, like what you've just said there, I was going to say like putting time constraints on things are really, really handy. And when you've discussed that before, it's helped me a ton with a lot of clients who say, I can't fit this all into a session.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I know you can, but we give you the constraints within that.
For busy people, like I really like using time constraints, interval style sessions, EMOM style sessions, AMRAP style sessions, because all of these, like actually you can do a lot of work in 20 minutes.
You can do loads.
If you were to do a 20-minute EMOM that had 4 exercises, and round 1 of these 4 exercises, so the first 4 minutes was like a warm-up round.
Yeah.
You took it a little bit easier on the bike, for example. The burpees were a little bit slower. The bodyweight squats were a little bit slower. And then round 2, you step everything up.
Yeah. I think, and that's, the time constraint thing just blows my mind, because it gives people actual freedom within that, because it doesn't mean that they're constantly thinking, like, someone goes from like taking 20 seconds rest to 3 minutes rest, and they don't see the difference between that. Like,
and I also wouldn't be messing around with, unless they're very proficient with it, I probably wouldn't be messing around with like too many barbells and that kind of stuff, because like you've got to get the bar out, you've got to get the plates out, you're wasting time.
And that's I guess that's the main focus would be, how do you kind of create a structured program around someone with such little time? And it's just trying to find a way. And if one of the biggest things is time, well, we need to make it as efficient as possible.
Yeah.
And whether that is like you break that down, like if that is someone with just the vague goal of trying to get fitter and like feel better about themselves, like those 20-minute sessions, if they're time efficient, will make them come out feeling great.
Yeah, and that's another thing that I was going to say. I also think one other big emphasis on those sessions is they need to be like they need to be enjoyable sessions, because if this person is really tight on time and they've got a spare 20 minutes and they're just like, oh, well, I can do this session which I absolutely hate and despise, or I can sit on the sofa for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Which one do you reckon they're choosing?
Yeah.
They're sitting on the sofa every single time. So it has to be. This is a great example of where coaching, that the art of coaching meets the science of coaching, in terms of, science might tell me that this is not the most optimal way to train. And this is the perfect example of where, like, okay, I'm going to move away from optimal, but by me moving away from optimal, I'm going to increase adherence because I'm doing things that are enjoyable, where they're getting bang for buck from that sessions. So therefore, actually, over a longer period of time, they're probably still going to achieve a great deal.
It depends what like people see as optimal, because like optimal of like, if we're in a lab, like, and you're getting told to do this and you're getting fed this, like that these results bleed this action bleeds these results. And it's like, when you put a human in front of you, or a human in the mix who has a lot more important things going on in their life, there is no point putting in exercises which they're gonna despise. Like, one of the things that I can't even explain how much this has like made my life easier, is I read a thing about like coaches getting burnt out. I think it was in the motivation interview, but coaches getting burnt out from coaching, and like not just like the long hours, not from like the stresses of running your own business. Like when you get burnt out from like, oh, I've got to like trying to help another person, I've got to be enthusiastic with this person, I've got to like this person's got all these problems and they're coming to me with them. Like, that can be quite draining. The one thing they said was that becomes most, like, burnout happens with coaching when you try and solve everyone's problems. And what you can take from that is, well, if someone like has these things that they're trying to do and they're trying to get fitter, they're trying to get healthier, like, make your life easier by getting them to kind of help you design this program. If there's a program that they want, like, what are your favorite exercises? What things, like, what do you enjoy doing most? What exercise do you do and you feel like, oh, I've achieved something there? Like, if you ask those questions, that doesn't make you a bad coach. That makes you a really good coach, because then you're putting together a program which this person's definitely going to do because they told you they love these exercises. It's the program that they're going to feel some achievement out of, and you don't have the stress of thinking, oh my God, but I put that exercise in, I could have put that one in, and like, I could have made this way more optimal, and they're not going to get the results and stuff like that. And like, I think if you remove that fear of, oh, like, it's all on me, and together, if you are someone yourself, like, writing your own program, or you're a coach writing for someone else, make a list of exercises they enjoy, and like, then how do we create this program which is going to be reasonably balanced and is going to give them everything they need?
Yep, absolutely. And this is where I try and say this a lot to coaches coming into the industry. It's like the training is easy, training is simple. Human beings are complex, so it's the human being that is by far the most important aspect of this process. So like, coach the person, don't just coach the exercises. Like, take everything into consideration about this person and like coach them.
It's really difficult because like, it's very, when I was first starting, like, a couple of people said to me like, oh yeah, but it'd be great because when you get someone coming with the same goal, you can just give them the same program. And like, in my mind, I was like, yeah, sweet. Like, that's going to be so much easier. And I'm like, but you don't realize how much difference goes into someone with exactly the same goals, with exactly the same amount of time to train each week. Like, the difference is like worlds apart.
Well, like, you can use a template, can't you?
Right.
But like, that's kind of where it ends.
Principles, and like, we follow rules of training.
Yeah.
But when it comes to applying those rules and how does this fit with this person, like, that's where the art and the science, that's where you kind of create this ideal situation for this person.
Yep.
And like, someone could genuinely love doing back squats, someone could genuinely hate doing back squats. But if they've got the same goal, okay, like, can't just give them the same program. And that's like a very obvious thing, but there's loads of other little bits that kind of go into that.
Yeah. And yeah, so I just think like higher output based work is the way to go for these types of people.
Hi guys, my name's Charlie from Hack the Body, Hack the Mind. I have a collection of programs called Buildings, and these are designed to help you build strength and muscle. I'll have 3 foundational ones. One of them is a glute program, one of them is strength and muscle, and one of them is a foundational program for beginners. Now, these are all focused around strength training, resistance training. Just for being one of the podcast listeners, I have given you a 20% discount off of these 12-week programs. So if you type in RCR20 at the checkout, that will give you 20% off any of the buildings and any of the programs that I have available to buy. Yeah, I mean, when it comes to time constraints, like, if you are, let's just stick with the like 3 times 20 to 30 minute sessions for now. Are you making them like full body focused? Are you making them like...
Yeah, probably. I mean, I might put, if they're like a bit more proficient with the barbell. So take me as an example. If I can, most of the time, you know, there's very rarely times where I can only get 20 minutes in. But like, let's say I can only get 40 minutes in, which is a bit of a time constraint for me sometimes. I would then be doing like some sort of like 40-minute EMOM where it's like strength and fitness based. If I was to use some sort of barbell work, and let's say I wanted to get in like 20 minutes of squatting within that workout, for me, I would start with 20 minutes of kind of like cardiovascular full body based exercises, and then I would squat for the last 20 minutes. The reason I would do it that way is because although it's probably not optimal for my strength squat, by the time I get to squatting, I don't have to warm up to squat
Very good point.
because I'm already very warm. I've just done 20 minutes of like, that might have been
And you can
biking.
weave some other things in with
It might have
that
been
as well.
biking, burpees, air squats, lunges. Like there might have been stuff that's in there that
That's
is
really interesting.
warming me up for a back squat.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I'm not gonna like load the barbell up with 150 kilos and just I'm gonna like build up
But-
to a weight.
And it's
But I
what's
can
the
ramp up
desired
quickly.
result. That's the thing, is that what's the desired result? Like if
Yeah.
you're already, if time constraints the biggest factor that plays in your training, and you have this goal of just wanting to get fitter or stay fitter and get kind of stronger, like you can do that within a time constraint, and that kind of is the thing that holds you back. Like, and it's just a matter of fact. Like, the ideal would be you back squat first and we focus on strength and then go into conditioning work. But if you don't have the time because you got to spend 10 minutes warming up to back squat, well, actually that takes away from your session as a whole.
I could do a 15-minute cardiovascular EMOM, cardiovascular and bodyweight focused EMOM, where my heart rate's going to go up, my fitness is going to get challenged a little bit. Round 1 could be a little bit easier, so that's like my warm-up round. The other rounds I pick up the pace a little bit. 15 minutes, and then if I wanted to, I could go every 2 minutes for 20 minutes on back squats. So I get 10 sets of back squats in.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Like that's going to be that's a pretty effective session.
Yeah, I suppose it's, so if the time constraint's the biggest thing, then you've already gone and you've created a workout which allows you to train within those time constraints. If it's someone who can only train once a week, for example, are we focusing on the very similar things?
Yeah, if it's somebody who can only train once a week, for me, I would be saying, right, well, realistically, if you can only train once a week, you're not going to see any form of significant increase in strength. You're not going to see any form of significant increases in cardiovascular fitness. You're not going to see any significant increases in body compositional changes. So what we can do is just try and increase or certainly maintain health and life longevity.
Yeah.
So for me, again, I would be focusing on very similar things like maintaining good quality strength. And again, primarily through, I wouldn't really probably even bother with a barbell too much. I'd like, dumbbell goblet squats, dumbbell goblet lunges, because okay, it's not optimal, but I can hit the trunk, so I can challenge like trunk stability whilst the weight's in that goblet position. And then we're doing some lunge work, so we're doing some single leg stuff, so like a bit more stability focused work is coming in there. Heart rate is going to go up slightly, so their heart's been challenged a little bit. So I would just be looking at, well, how can I help this person maintain their health for as long as possible? Because realistically, you're not going to get stronger, you're not going to get fitter, you're not going to change your body composition on one 30-minute session a week.
So but if it was an hour, if they had 1 hour, would you still follow the similar things?
If I had 1 hour, I probably would still follow the similar things, but I would slow it down a bit more. So then I probably would go like, a good quality 10-minute warm up, like lots of mobility work in there. So I'm hitting lots of mobility around their joints. And then some good quality strength work, again, depending on if they've only got once a week. And again, it comes back to one of the other podcasts we did about training for beginners. Is it worth me getting a barbell out?
Yeah.
Or am I just wasting time within that? Do I just go, right, well, let's leg press. Let's lat pull down, let's shoulder dump, machine shoulder press. Like, so get some good quality strength work in there. I would probably, my approach would be within the warm up, I'll challenge you with things like bodyweight squats and lunges. Once I feel like you're coming proficient in those in the warm up, I will use some of the strength work to introduce barbell.
That's a great way of making sure that's a great way as a coach. You are constantly assessing your client, and you can use your warm up to help with that assessment of how they move. I've had a client who did a very similar thing, who in our warm up we air squat and now we goblet squat, and we haven't touched a barbell yet.
Yeah.
But over the 3-4 week period, and she can train a lot more, but over the 3-4 week period, I've now gone, next week we could back squat.
Yeah.
Because I can see throughout that warm-up period, her squats are getting better. She's following my coaching cues, and it's actually getting her to that point where when we go and do lunges, where she's ready, and she's practiced warm like air squats by doing that.
Yeah. Yeah, and then again, I would probably finish the session with some form of cardiovascular based work.
So if your goal is, and this is probably very, very specific, but if your goal is to change your body composition and you could only train like 1 day a week, 1 hour, 45 minutes to an hour session, and you can give your opinion on this as well. The way I would do this is I'd focus, like Mark said, on like output stuff. And basically just go like a lot of like machine work, which you can like move a lot of weight and you can like kind of like get focus on the desired muscle. It would be a full body session. I'd probably do like the biggest exercise first. So I'd probably do a leg press first and then work my way throughout, like up the chain throughout the different muscles and stuff like that. And then I probably like in those situations, I'd focus solely on like strength work. And then we'd look at your steps.
Yeah.
Because that's the one thing that you can control a little bit, is you may not be able to fit time in and go and train. And if that is your sole purpose, is to change the way you look, doing like a weighted session would probably be the best thing, because it would help you the most if you had the ability to then go, okay, I'm going to work on my steps in my lunch break. I only get half hour, but I am going to go for a walk. At the start of the day, I'm going to make sure that when I go to work, I actually park on this road, which is a 20-minute walk away from work, and I walk in, and that's when I have my morning coffee. I don't have my morning coffee when I get in. I have my morning coffee then, or I make my phone call when I do that. Like, and try to start creating this lifestyle around making you more active throughout the day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Because that's, you can increase cardiovascular health that way.
Yeah, that would be, and it gives you some, it stops. You got to remember, like, if there's these barriers in the way, then like, let's try and remove them. And like, if one of the barriers in the way is, well, I just don't move enough, or it's like one of the barriers, I just can't get my conditioning in. And it's like, you see that massive hill? Go and walk up that hill. Like, and I know it's one of those things that, like, that's one of the biggest things, like, on a tangent, that, like, so I'm lost like 1.5 kg in the past 2 weeks now. And the one thing that changed for me was I started making sure I was as active on the weekends as I was throughout the week.
Yeah.
Throughout the week, I was getting like around 13,000 steps as an average.
Yeah.
And on a weekend, it was like 4,000.
Yeah, big difference.
It makes a huge difference, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And I know this is a side note, but like, if you're looking at, I move a lot throughout the week, if you're a construction worker or you have a busy job, like, what about the days you're not working? Those, like, if your average is 13,000 like throughout the week, and then you drop down to 2,000 on the weekend, your average is a lot lower than 13,000.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Cool. Is there anything like, what, for someone who is like short on time, would you just say that the expectations have to be managed as well?
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, you're moving further and further away from this optimal way of training, but like, isn't everybody? So yeah, you have got to manage those expectations. And I would also say one of the other biggest things is, if you are somebody who's short on time, whether you're in a position to be able to do this yourself or whether you outsource it, absolutely go already with a plan. Don't get there and go, oh, what should I do now? Because you'll spend 10 minutes thinking of what to do, and now your 20-minute session is a 10-minute session.
Yeah,
and so
it feels pointless.
Yeah, whether you outsource it from another coach or you do some sort of DVD on YouTube or whatever it is, just have a program and a plan ready, so that you don't have to think about it. Because if you're already busy, the chances are your brain capacity is at its limit anyway.
Yeah.
You don't want to have to then start thinking about what your session is going to be. So either have it written up before you're going, or have somebody write it up for you, but just have a plan.
Yeah. Having a plan is the biggest thing. And like, I guess it doesn't necessarily matter. Like, what the time constraints you do have, like having a plan would be the biggest thing to help you anyway, because it makes your life so much easier. Like when
yeah, even if you're training 6 days a week, like have a plan.
do you like most of your training follows a plan you've written for yourself,
Yeah.
and that
Yeah.
and like did you ever freestyle it?
So I generally the way I train is like I'll start my sessions with some sort of strength work and then I'll finish with some sort of fitness based work. All of my strength stuff is completely planned and periodized, so I follow like proper strength cycles. But then like my fitness / conditioning stuff that comes in at the end, I will have a focus of whether I want it to be, I don't know, I want to work on muscle ups within this workout, or I want to work on wall balls or rowing, or I want it to be like more of an upper body, like pump style finisher, whatever it might be. Like I'll have that rough idea, and then I'll just kind of like, I won't wing it, but I'll, they'll change.
Yeah, but like there is some, but that's through experience. Like you're better off having a program to follow than just going, oh, I can go and do what Mark does, because like Mark's got years and years of experience of like, actually like my body wasn't feeling too good here, like when I was moving this felt a little bit off, like, or oh, I haven't hit that in a few weeks, like looking back at my program that I've got, or maybe I'll do that today. Do you know what I mean? Like that's that I guess autonomy to be able to make those decisions comes from having the knowledge to be able to make the decisions on the fly. Like
Yeah.
it's the whole, that's why like, and I know there's another side point, but that's why like I like doing a lot of like kind of non-speed, non-dynamic work with clients, is because like if I can get them to move really well slowly, then when they move quickly, like they can normally move a lot better. And it's the same with this. Like don't try to kind of run before you can walk.
Yeah.
Anything else?
What maybe one other thing is, where possible, potentially, whether you're going to the gym or you're doing some sort of like online class or whatever it might be, like maybe try and do it with somebody, just because you then got the accountability. If not, I don't want to say, oh, you're not going to, don't let other people down, because like that maybe just adds another stress to somebody's life. But I think people are maybe more inclined to do something if they say, oh, I'm going to the gym with such and such twice a week, every week. Like it's in the diary. Like you're there with somebody else. Hey guys, it's Mark from Origin Series, and just quickly I wanted to give you some information on our brand new group training program, which is Origin Essentials. So for us at Origin Series, training is all about doing the basics and doing the basics really well and getting the fundamentals nailed down when it comes to strength and fitness. This program is a group program. It's an online program, so you can do anywhere in the world if you have access to a gym, and we will take you through a series of structured and progressive strength programs, along with some targeted energy system work to develop your cardiovascular fitness as well. So if you're looking to get stronger and looking to get fitter, then this program is definitely for you. You should head to originseries.com and check it out.
We got a little bit of time, just quickly. Do you think someone who has the time but hasn't committed yet, what's your best approach for dealing with that person? Like if it's a coach and they've got someone who comes and this person says, oh, time's a big thing for me, but like that's more of because they don't want to commit to the process of it, or they don't see the value in it yet, and they're kind of either their daughters told them to go, or their doctor or their mates are going. Like what's the best approach?
The approach, I think, would be different person to person, but I think your overall goal as a coach would be, right, one way or another, and how I do this will depend on what the barrier is for this person, but one way or another, I need to get this person to a point where they're seeing value in this, whether that be they're seeing some physical changes to their body shape, they're seeing some physical changes to their actual overall fitness, they're noticing that some of the tasks that they have to do on a daily basis are becoming easier, they're potentially sleeping a bit better because they're more active. But one way or another, they're starting to see value in training, and then because the only way you're going to get them to a point of them, realizing that they've got the time and committing to it is if they make the decision. You can't make that decision for them because it's not gonna happen for a long time. So they need to be the one to make the decision. The only way they're going to make that decision is if they see some value in it, and it then becomes a bit more of a priority for them.
You got to remember that a lot of these people, like, they have tried many a time before to try and get results that they want, and they probably have hit failure a lot of times, or at least not hit what they wanted to achieve. And that normally is because they for whatever reason, they didn't get to their goal. So they're already coming from a place of doubt. They're already coming from a place of like not wanting to do this. So if your first thing is like they come to you and like their goals is one of these, their goal is to change how they look, but they only can commit 1 day a week. And like me and Mark said, there's not a lot you can do with someone who's willing to. It's a hard task with someone who's willing to train and wants to train to get them to those results, let alone someone who definitely does not want to train. So you asking them to count calories and do all of these crazy things like won't work. So for that person, the worst thing you could do is go, well, you're not going to get anywhere by only training 1 day a week. Like your, again, goal is to tear down barriers for, if a client puts barriers up, they can't do this, they can't do that. Your job is to find solutions to those problems and to find a way to tear those barriers down. And it's to find a way to put barriers up in front of habits that they're trying to change. So the best way you can do that is just by truly understanding, like, okay, where is this person at? And what is the smallest possible thing they could do? And if that is just making sure they're coming to the gym with you, that's what they do for the next 4 to 6 weeks.
I also think that process doesn't need to be rushed. Like, people will make those decisions in their own time. I don't think you need to look at it as like, I've got 6 weeks to change this person's mind. No. I've got 8 weeks to, there's already, for me, there's already way too many 8-week transformations, 12-week transformations. Like, what you're going to, like, fitness should become part of your life and just like a practice that you do for all of your life to help you maintain a healthy life, to live for longer and enjoy life easier and better, not just for like a 12-week period, and then yo-yo back into whatever shape you're in before. So I think you don't need to rush that process. Like, as long as you think that in your mind, like each time you're just chipping away at improving the quality of life that this person has, like, enjoy the journey. Don't just focus on like, let's achieve this in the next 6 weeks. Well, let's just enjoy the next 30 years.
Like and that's just train. Like the whole thing of like, if you are a coach and you get some imposter syndrome by seeing all of these 12-week transformations out there, like, remember that if your client, or you don't have any clients which have like changed their body in 12 weeks, like, you could help them do, but you've made a massive impact on someone's mindset and someone's attitude towards training. Like, are you like, you are still succeeding. That's not a failure. Like, and remind yourself of that. Just because you haven't necessarily got them to quote unquote what their goal currently is, you actually may have got them towards their goal in such a way that, and you may have changed their life in such a way that they didn't even know like that was what was required. You're going to change every other aspect of their life, not just getting them towards their goal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Perfect. Anything else?
No, I don't think so.
Sweet. Thank you so much for tuning in, gang. This has been Real Coaching Radio. Hopefully that episode didn't take too long to listen to, but you can probably turn it off now if you want after that. But I do want to say that the time like constraints technique is such a really good way to write a program for clients or for yourself if you're trying to fit something in. Having to do something every minute on the minute or every 2 minutes on the minute, or giving yourself like a designated 20-minute AMRAP, it makes life a lot easier when trying to get short little bits into your session. Like I've started doing it with my bench press because it's something that Mark's done previously. And doing like every 3 minutes on the minute I will do my set, and it's basically just to keep my reps and my rest time standardized, rather than it being like just wait till I feel alright, and then normally I end up replying to people on Messenger or just replying to emails and stuff like that, and it's just kind of, I don't need to be doing that during sets and during my workout, whereas this keeps me a little bit more focused. So even if you're someone who isn't using or isn't short on time, then you could still use that technique to just try and keep your rest time to a standard. Yeah, that was a really good episode. We got 2 more that we're gonna do like this when it comes to avatars. The next one is going to be, give me 2 seconds. So the next one is going to be balancing performance and body composition. So if you're someone who wants to perform really well but also look good. And then the other one is someone who has never trained in a gym before. Like, what do you do? I think this is a good way to start to get the feelers out there for try and hit those different groups of people. Like, we're trying to target what we see as most people that we deal with and come into play with. If you want to know about what you should do, then we have the Pathfinder program. Now, the Pathfinder program is where me and Mark will give you a month's free of online training. Not only will you get a month's free, you will come onto the podcast and you will tell us about your goals and we will ask you questions. It's basically like a consultation, but we will give you a month's free training on the back of it. So it could be a really good way for you to achieve your goals, get advice from me and Mark about what to do and where is best to start, and then get a month's worth of training to actually get you on the right path to achieving those goals in the first place. If you are interested in that, please send an email to info@realcoachingradio.co.uk and we will kind of get you within our program. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you. I guess we will see you on the next one. You will hear from us on the next one. This has been Real Coaching Radio.
Hi guys, I'm Mark from My PT Course, and we provide online level 2 and 3 personal training qualifications for those who are either looking to get into the industry or upskill themselves from a level 2 gym instructor to a level 3 personal trainer. Our course is fully accredited with REPS and SIMSPA, and we are governed by Active IQ. Our course is delivered by experienced tutors who have over 15 to 20 years experience both delivering education and within the fitness industry. And our course leaders also own facilities and work with clients on a daily basis. So not only are we able to provide you with the qualification required to get going as a personal trainer in the fitness industry, we're also able to provide you with the knowledge and the guidance and the experience that we have from working in the industry for such a long time. You can find us at myptcourse.com, or you can find us on Instagram at myptcourse.